So Congress is the thing. How do you talk to them? Well, there's lots of different approaches, but the first thing to do is know who your congressional representatives are. If you do work with the Department of Defense or with any federal agency, you should actively be engaged with Congress. They are there to support you, and they're the ones that fund the federal government. So make sure you are engaged with them so you can help shape the programs that they're funding. You can give them the impact that you want to see in your community. You can tell them the personal stories about how a project or something that's happened in the federal government has impacted your business and impacted their community. That is critical. So first thing to do is understand when they're going to do engagement sessions. You can go and write to them. They have email addresses they put out on their websites, every single one of them, and that'll go to someone on their staff. Their staffers are normally really great people. I've met so many great staffers, and they're the behind the scenes people that make these congressional offices work. Be so kind to them. They are good people and they will help you. They are gatekeepers like any other gatekeeper, but they are knowledgeable about how the process works, and they know their members' cares and stuff they like. So if you're trying to find a way to influence a member, the staffers will be able to quickly tell you, here's the stuff my member cares about, here are the projects they're working on, here's their big initiatives, and really the political side of the aisle doesn't matter. Democrat, Republican, if they're representing you, they're representing you. You don't have to vote for them every November. You should engage with them because they are your representative. They are someone that's taking their community's concerns to the highest levels of government, and they're shaping the country, hopefully with your views in mind. And if you don't talk to them, they won't ever know what your views are. So many times these congressional members, they'll do roundtables. You can go and talk to them at the roundtables. You can provide your inputs. That's more public forum. You can also get time with them either in DC or at their local districts, wherever they're at, and sit down with them, talk with their staffs, tell them what your concerns are, be an active participant. If you are a company in the DoD and doing work with the DoD and you don't know who your staffers are, you are probably leaving a lot of money on the table, and you're definitely leaving a lot of influence on the table. So not every congressional member is in a position to create funding through the appropriations process, but all of them are in a position to help craft and shape laws. They all vote on the laws. So there's a lot of deal making that happens behind the scenes, and if they know an initiative or something that matters to you and it's going to impact their district and it's front of mind, who knows what negotiation occurs, but they can pull that rabbit out of the hat and really just lay it on the table as something that they would like in consideration for doing something else that someone else is asking for. All of a sudden, you have laws that are being passed that are going to make it easier for you to conduct business and hopefully win more contracts with the federal government. So go to those roundtables, go to those discussions, those town hall meetings, be an active person in the process. Now, there's a pro level to this as well. You can go and hire a legis affairs team. You can go hire a lobbyist. These people will go and engage with Congress on your behalf. They cost money. They are not cheap. $10,000 a month is probably like around the average. You might be able to get a little less. I'm not going to say it's less performance. It really depends on the person. It depends on what you're trying to get them to do. But somewhere in that $10,000 range is probably around the average cost. And when you're engaging with these people, you need to have a very clear intent of what your congressional strategy is going to be. One, they should help you shape it. But two, it should be things that are going to push your business forward. So if you have known hurdles with how to do business with the government that are causing you problems, those are things that are going to be handled through the rules side of the house, especially if you're a defense contractor. You're going to try to shape NDAA language to help get those rules changed so it's easier for you to do business with the government. If you're trying to get funding, you're going to want to target members that are on the appropriations committee because they can control what money shows up for the government. So and you can go and do that. You can show them a white paper, say, hey, this white paper is going to cost $10 million. The government loves it. My program office wants to do it. There's money there, or there's interest there, but there's not money there. Can you help us with this process? And they can actually add money into the bill. Now, they don't just get to add whatever money they want. There's a whole process for how they do it. They, I think, have limits for what they can all put in, because at the end of the day, it's all, the taxpayers' dollars that they're spending. But it is a pathway, and I've had a lot of success with companies that have gone down that pathway. It takes a concerted effort. The lobbyists have to engage. But what makes a lobbyist great is that they know all the players. In many cases, these lobbyists were former staffers. They were in inside the Beltway. They're friends with these people. They went to the bars with them. They drank with them. They have personal relationships with some of them. Like any other bureaucracy, understanding who to play with in the bureaucracy really matters. These lobbyists came from that bureaucracy, and in some cases maybe helped create the bureaucracy. So don't be afraid to leverage them if you're at that level. Not every company needs a lobbyist. They cost money. If you don't have the revenue to sustain it, don't make a big bet on getting a lobbyist hoping they can get you a little bit of funding to keep your business alive. I think you got to show good product market fit first. Like my ideal client that is going to go after a lobbyist already has product market fit. They've already demonstrated that they can get government contracts. They have stuff the government cares about, but their SIBRs fall short because they haven't been around long enough to go get into the POM process. They haven't been around long enough to break into that government funding cycle. The congressional money can act as almost like a stopgap or a bridge until they're able to be systematically incorporated into the budget cycle and into the planning that the government does, which is not easy to do, by the way. It's not something I would say everyone is able to do this. It's really not the case. That's why SIBR is such a valuable program to go play in, because that's a pot of money created every year to go get after new technology. So if I were you and I'm thinking, all right, am I at the stage where I need to go get lobbyists or some type of legislative affairs team, or do I need to just start participating in the process? It depends on the amount of money you have coming in and if you can afford it. Leveling up and going pro is always the right move if the funding is there, because it'll pay off bigger dividends in the end, but it might take 2 or 3 years to do. So can you afford a $10,000 a month run rate for 3 years? Yeah, that adds up. It's $300,000, more than that, $360,000 that you're spending. And then maybe at the end of that 3 years, they get some appropriations language in for you, and all of a sudden you got a $10 million check coming in. Like that can happen, and that does happen. But man, $300,000, if you don't have that revenue to sustain it, it can be expensive and maybe not advisable. So you get to play on both sides of that coin and decide where you want to fit. Now, another way to attack or engage with Congress is to go through bodies that already engage with Congress. So joining consortiums, joining different groups that have their own congressional representatives, and just making sure your voice is heard inside of those groups. Every single organization or trade group has some type of lobbying behind them. Figure out who those are for your industry, figure out the ones that are going to matter or move the needle, and make sure your voice can be heard in those groups. If your voice is heard, those people have pooled resources, right? You paid a membership fee to be part of the group. That money is going to pay for the lobbyist, pay for whoever. They can influence sometimes even more than like a personal lobbyist can, because the resources are so much larger. And in many cases, they can approach more members. So normally, if you are an individual working with a lobbyist, that lobbyist is probably only going to be able to engage with members that you can impact from a jobs creation or that you're a stakeholder in. So they're only going to be able to touch the members that you are local to. Whereas if you're going through some of these bigger groups that have national reach, someone in their community can touch any member in Congress. That means they can approach every member of Congress with a similar concern. Lots of ways to play this game, and there's levels to this stuff, but if you join one of those kind of groups and you're able to get your voice heard and you have that silver bullet idea that can help everybody, those members take that to every single person, or those lobbyists take it to every single member, and they work the staffs and they get the language change you need, or they create pots of funding that you might then have access to or be made available. We've seen this happen time and time again inside government. Frankly, the NDAA is really hard to follow because so many members are putting language in. If you're on the government side of the house, we would get the National Defense Authorization Act in, and it's the law. We have to follow these rules. Sometimes it would say they would want us to go do a study on X, Y, and Z technology. But if there's no money or funding that correlates with that comes on the appropriation side, we would write back and say, we would love to do the study. We would love to follow congressional intent, but you didn't fund it, so we can't do it. So I don't like to use the language side of the house to go create studies or projects that are going to cost the government money. But anything that's inside the language piece or the NDAA that doesn't cost money, like rule changes or like how the government will function changes, like if you know internally things you want to see differently or done differently, that's perfect for language, because inside there, it can cause the government to have unique reactions, and they can't say no because it doesn't cost somebody money. That argument doesn't work anymore. They just say, yep, okay, Congress said we have to do it this way. This is the way we're going to do it. We don't agree with it. We do agree with it. Doesn't matter. It's the law. And that's the cool thing about the language side. On the funding side, in the Department of Defense, you can't call out a company name and you go get an ad, but what you do call out is technology. What I've seen is the white papers you submit into your staffing office, your local staffing office, it'll have the name and organization that you believe the product market fit for your technology is with. And those staffers will call the government guys and ask them, hey, have you heard of this technology? Is this good? Do you think it's worthwhile? Is this something we should invest in? The answer better be yes, or you're really wasting your time. So make sure you've built the relationship with the government guys first and that they are fully aware of what you're doing, so that if that phone call comes in, they can answer appropriately, so that Congress, who is willing to take a shot on you and they made the phone call, is ready to take action. But the long story short of all this is, if you are not dealing with Congress, if you're not talking with them, you need to be. If you're doing any work with the Department of Defense, you are leaving opportunity on the table by not engaging Congress. 100% leaving opportunity on the table. So if you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe to the video. I'm here for you. We're gonna get more content coming and love to help. Have a great day. Bye.